Am I the a-hole for telling my sister and her kids they need to find their own place after living with me for almost 3 years? Almost 3 years ago, my older sister and her two kids needed somewhere to stay. She had just left a bad relationship and her credit was trashed, and she couldn't get approved for anything on her own. I had a 3 bedroom apartment that was just me and my son, so I told her she could move in with us until she got back on her feet. I gave her the bigger bedroom so she could be near the kids. My son and I moved into the smallest room. I literally bought a mini fridge and a microwave for our room, basically because sharing the kitchen became impossible. Not because I was being petty, but because the mess and the chaos was constant and I couldn't function in it. I just quietly made myself smaller. The living room is my furniture, the dining room table is mine. I don't use any of it anymore. Her kids' stuff is everywhere. I come home from work and go straight to my room most nights because the common areas don't feel like mine anymore. The original plan was maybe a year, then a year turned into her saying she still couldn't qualify for a place because of her rental history. I renewed my lease for another year to give her more time. That lease is up in a few months, and I told her I'm not renewing again, and I'm looking for a new place for just me and my son. She started crying and said they have nowhere to go. Said they might end up in a shelter. Her ex isn't helping with anything, and she still hasn't been able to save enough for a deposit anywhere. I feel terrible. I love those kids, but I have been putting my entire life on pause. My older daughter wants to stay with me over breaks from school, and there's literally no room. I started seeing someone last year, and I can't even have him over because there's no privacy or space. My son is now 11 and sharing a tiny room with his mom, and he's never once complained, but I can tell he's over it. I've done everything I can think of. I've helped her apply for assistance programs. I connected her with a housing counselor. I even offered to pay her deposit somewhere if she could get approved. But nothing has moved forward, and I honestly don't know if it's because she can't or because she knows she doesn't have to because I'm here. I don't want to think that about my own sister, but 3 years is a long time and the situation hasn't changed at all. She just still doesn't have savings, she still hasn't fixed her credit, and every time I bring up the timeline, she cries and I fold. Not this time though. I told her the lease ends and I'm done, and she hasn't spoken to me in 4 days. Am I the a hole? Someone said 3 years of shrinking your entire life into one room, and she has zero progress on getting out. That tells you everything you need to know, honestly. Someone else said, this is harsh, but you need to hear it. In the process of trying to be a good sister, you've been bad to yourself and you've let down your own children. Your son has no space of his own for 3 years because your sister is more important than him. Your daughter hasn't got a home to go to because your sister is more important than her. You're not only teaching your children that they aren't important enough to be a priority to you, their mother, but you've also teaching them by example to put themselves last, ignore their own needs. Do not fold. I don't know what this means. Am I the a-hole for letting a couch goblin into my house? I am a 56-year-old female and I have been with my husband, 27-year-old male, for 8 years, married for 6. I live with him Monday to Friday, spending weekends alone on another property I own. My folks were millionaires and I inherited everything. This arrangement exists because when he was 18, he had a one night stand with this bimbo who ended up getting pregnant by him and having a couch goblin. And because of my indifference to couch goblins, we decided it was best for me to be away while he has the goblins on the weekends. The arrangement was working well until today. I decided to stay with my husband this weekend as I didn't feel like making the journey to my other house. This morning, the doorbell rang and I answered. It was the goblin. It told me it was here to see Daddy. I was repulsed by the sound of its voice and replied, well, Daddy doesn't want to see you, and shut the door. It's not the kid's fault, man. I went to sit in the living room with my husband, thinking that was the end of it. But then we heard the goblin crying outside. What? He went to open the door for the goblin after the goblin whined to him about how I wouldn't let him into my house. My husband told me he was taking it to his sister's house. Why is she saying it? He left with the goblin and came back home alone. I assumed that was the end of it. When he came back, he started yelling at me, asking me how dare you treat my daughter that way, and telling me you've gone too far with this child-free crap. I calmly explained that this was my house and I shouldn't have to let anyone in that I don't want to let in. It's not my fault. He couldn't keep it in his pants when he was with the bimbo. He went nuts. He screamed at me that he hates me for how evil I am towards his innocent children and how I won't let me see my daughter for more than 2 days a week because you're disgusting. And he was only ever with me because I was rich and he won the money for the goblin's college fund. I left and went to my second house, which is where I am now. My husband put me on blast on social media, telling everyone he was divorcing the evil witch, and his family and the bimbo have been blowing up my phone, calling me everything from an evil mother to a lot of explicit names. Am I the a hole for not letting a couch goblin into my house? I would personally keep it between the adults, but it's also not the child's fault. You know, the child is literally innocent. But let's see what other people have to say. Someone said, not the a hole. That goblin was a classic sign of narcissism. Someone else said, not the a hole. He was using you for your money, and he knew the rules. Rules is rules. Fail to follow them, and you lose. Someone else said, yeah, the a hole, for letting the 27-year-old couch goblin in your house permanently. I agree you don't owe him anything, but I also feel like that's not a reason to slam the door in like a kid's face. And I do believe that she deserves better, but again, that's not really the kid's fault. But maybe I'm just sensitive. I don't know. Am I the a hole for being forgotten on Valentine's Day? Valentine's Day was yesterday, and I had asked my girlfriend of a year to be mine about a week before. During the week, I was thinking and planning everything I was hoping to do for her. I wanted to give her an edible arrangement. She's not the biggest fan of flowers as they die. I got her actual flowers anyways, because who doesn't really like being given flowers? I wanted to make her a necklace with my initial on it. She had made a comment about not having one yet, and had the idea of making an origami flowers with the things I love about her most written on them. So the day arrived, and I was able to accomplish all I wanted to, and I was quite happy with how everything turned out, even the origami flowers. We woke up, and her company has a quarterly cleanup on a road the company adopted. We had known about it, and she always goes, so we went, of course. We had a fun time walking and picking up the road after we got some food on the company's dime. Then we went home, and that's when she was able to open her little box and saw the flowers. She seemed to like it and thanked me for how much I did. I guess she wasn't expecting much. That's when she let me know she really didn't get or do anything for me for the day, and that she's been really stressed and wasn't able to give it any energy, which absolutely destroyed my day. Here I was doing community labor and making sure she knew that she was loved on the day where you're supposed to show love, and I get no effort, no small card, nothing. Like I was forgotten, like I wasn't even worth trying for. I buried my emotions because how am I supposed to be mad on the day I'm showing someone how I love them? Then she opens her phone again and starts to scroll on Instagram. She sees a friend from back in the high school is going to be playing piano at a local place. She asks if I want to go. I agree. We get dressed and go. When we get there, we sit, and I can almost immediately tell that they had some sort of connection that seemed to be still there. She can't take her eyes off of him, so I get irrationally angry. I want to throw the table and scream and fight someone, but I don't. I bury my emotions and get cold. She can tell. She tries to comfort me, which infuriates me even more. He comes to greet us and chat a bit. I'm absolutely on edge, and I'm only picking up on him and her. The rest of the world gets shut out. He says bye to us. As we leave, she walks ahead of me. She gets to the car and has to wait. I get in and start asking her questions, like what kind of connection they used to have. Why did we have to go to his show on Valentine's? Why didn't she get me anything for Valentine's Day? She doesn't say anything. She just sits there. We get home, and I'm boiling at this point. I need out of the vehicle. So I just get out and head towards my truck. I'm not the best with my anger, and I vent it through my fists and my own truck. After she sees that I punch my truck, she drives off. I go inside and clean the blood off my knuckles in the shower, have a good cry, and try to calm myself down. She stays gone for a while and finally comes in. I can tell she's drunk, so I don't even try and talk. I just ask her to go to bed, and she happily does. Am I in the wrong for feeling forgotten? Someone said, well, I was with you until the end. You overreacted because that was definitely a lot. You need some anger management classes. Someone else said, she sucks for making no effort at all, but you were also acting like a little spoiled child punching your truck. Maybe you shouldn't be in a relationship until you grow up. Someone else said, not in every action, that was really effed up, and you should have shown what you felt when you felt it. Maybe not throw tables, but at least speak up for yourself. Am I the jerk for ruining my sister's announcement by refusing to turn my brain off and hide my master's degree? So my sister, Chloe, not her real name, literally told me to turn my brain off at our family party because she didn't want my master's overshadowing her pregnancy announcement. I tried to stay chill, but when a family friend asked how my studies were going, I just gave a normal answer about finishing my degree by 27. Chloe totally flipped out and started crying because she thought I was trying to make her look undereducated or whatever. Now my mom is taking her side and saying I should have just dumbed myself down for a few hours to keep the peace. But I feel like I'm being punished just for answering a basic question about my life. Am I the jerk for not hiding my education just to soothe her insecurities? Someone said, not the a hole. You didn't steal the spotlight. You answered a direct question about your life. That's normal. Someone said, yes, you are the jerk. If you were smart enough, you'd know how much a pregnancy messes with hormones and you'd be empathetic. Besides, 27 for a master's is not impressive. And someone else said, you didn't grab a spotlight. You didn't announce it. Someone asked and you just responded.